Shalom. Kol halal Yahweh Bashem Hawashai Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so. Now more so than ever, to the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, to be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners, and to the few akwaf that are listening and learning. To you I say shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson in truth. And through the spirit, for 2 days in a row, I have been going back and forth with different people about the Israelite heritage of the so-called Native Americans and Hispanic population. All right. And then they will bring up the fact that Spaniards this and Spaniards that. And I'm like, well, you can't use that as an argument because those same Spaniards and Frenchmen and Dutch and all those people were all Edomites, and they did the same thing to Judah. All right. It's all through the spirit who's who. You can't go by color. But nevertheless, this is a history that back when Glenn Beck used to work for Fox, he got fired a couple of weeks or within the next week after he broadcast this information, connecting history, Israelite and Hebrew heritage, to the Native Americans, the Hispanics, and the natives of America back to Jerusalem. All right. So without any further ado, let's play a little bit of excerpt from this.
John Wesley Howell in 1789. Again, this is Powell. This is the director of the Bureau of Eth.
And I do believe it was 1783, not 1789, because I thoroughly did this research myself. But nevertheless,
Ethnology at the Smithsonian Institute. He said this: artifacts found prior to Christopher Columbus's arrival would be considered illegitimate by the Smithsonian. Only the savage Indian culture would be observed, and this created the artificial barrier to science. Only the savage. Science was colluding with government because of commerce, and religion was involved. Now what?
And it still does to this day. All right. He said only the false narrative that they created, this savage thing, because that's what Indian means, savage, was allowed to be taught and pushed. When you have so many authors that wrote about the connection, the Hebrew connection, they have a matter of fact, the relics that he even showed you in this video that went back to Jerusalem. How were these relics found in their hands if they're not Israelites? And then you got these black power onlys, these really ignorant, void of understanding, who don't understand. The natives once upon a time were just as dark as Negroes. They were raped, robbed, murdered, and scattered. All right. But nevertheless, I'm going to thoroughly prove that using some footage from the brother Cootie Merrill's video. But this is a book called Christopher Columbus and a Participation of the Jews in the Spanish and Portuguese Discoveries. All right. And on page 95, it reads, Indians and Israelites. Louis de Torres, the first European, discovered the use of tobacco. Now, he was from Europe, but he wasn't European at all. A so-called European. See, even in here, they tried to lie. De Torres was a so-called Negro, a Moreno, a Moor, from Portugal, Spain, right at the fall of Granada, Spain. He was one of those Moors, all right, one of those Sephardic Jews that spoke Hebrew. That's why he was brought over here, all right? He was brought over here as an interpreter to speak to the inhabitants. But here on page 95, it says, Louis de Torres, the first European to discover the use of tobacco, was also the first person of Jewish stock who settled in Cuba. He was won favor with the ruler. Actually, I'm gonna jump down to the middle, to the second paragraph. In Cuba Española and the other islands which he discovered, Columbus found natives who had their khakis their own language and traditions. To what race did these aboriginals of America belong? Several writers have asserted and have displayed much learning in attempting to prove that aboriginals were descendants of Jews, and they indeed are. All right. Many writers wrote about it, and there was many evidences. All right. The result was reached already in the 16th century by Spanish clergyman Rodin. His arguments were derived from an unpublished manuscript which he discovered in the library of San Pablo in Seville. Montesinos, who possessed the manuscripts of Luis Lopez, the learned bishop of Quito, was convinced that the Peruvians were of Jewish origin. The view of Rodin and the Gregorio Garcia, the aboriginals of America were descendants of the Jews, was maintained with many arguments. In one of the same year, in 1650, independently, an Englishman, Thorogood, and the Portuguese Jew, Manasseh ben Israel, all right, and a renowned rabbi of Amsterdam, who induced Cromwell to allow the Jews to return to England. The Portuguese Moreno Villafort, who strange to say, also called himself Montesinos, and afterward assumes, which Montesinos is talked about in this book, which goes for $10,000 now. I bought this book for $30 about 11 years ago. This book now goes for $10,000. Look it up. All right, and that account of Montesinos and his encounter with the Israelites of the Americas is in that book. The author Ronald Sanders set out to prove that they were not the Israelites, and when he got finished doing his research, he came to the conclusion that they actually were the Israelites, and he wrote this book, which now once again goes for $10,000 brand new on hardback on the internet. Okay. A used copy is going to cost you a couple $1,000s at the most. So actually, that's enough. I don't need to read anymore. I'm going to provide you with visible proof. I'm just trying to mark this page again, because I keep this here just for moments like this, so I can shut somebody up that don't know what the hell they're talking about. This is another book by Timothy R. Jenkins, who also was an author and did his research, and it's called The 10 Tribes of Israel, or The True History of the North American Indians, showing that they are descendants of the 10 tribes. All right, so that's another book, another source by Timothy R. Jenkins. Now let's go back to the book that actually, let me grab a scripture. Going to go to 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter, and the Bible bear witness to that as well. Also, let me see if I can pull up this image. Darn, it don't look like I have it anymore. I don't have, was a book that basically was showing you that it was a Jewish encyclopedia that was basically stating that America was Azareth, which is that place that was talked about in the Apocrypha, which I'm going to read shortly after I read this. It said in a book by John Mackey, page 2627, called The Memoirs of the Secret Service in 1733, he described the Secretary of State of Great Britain as a very black man, like a Spaniard or a Jew. All right. And there it is. I'll give you that information. Okay. And there it is. Freeze it. Take a picture of it. Screenshot it. All right. And these are those Morenos, those same Spanish Jews that came over, those dark men that came over with Christopher Columbus to mix and mingle and speak to these people. Let's go back to Cootie Merrill's video, because he was catching a lot. There's a lot of scoffers. He's got the real American Indian photos colorized for the first time ever. All right. And I'm going to part 11. All right. But so he's got lots of, and they're all, part 11, the first one's only 16 minutes long, but part 11 is 2 hours long. Okay. This one here. So we're going to click on it, and I'm going to go to about the 25th minute. All right. So let me just.
So the fun thing with the serpent is, how does a serpent talk?
And
not only
then
that,
a commercial.
the serpent's punishment to crawl on its belly when that's what it does.
So there we go. Please let. All right, so let's go to around the 25th minute. You know, and I mess with this brother, man. There's a few things that we
Haiti.
probably disagree on, but as far as him being diligent and his research in history, the brother be on point with a lot of stuff, and he's brought out a lot of condemning information exposing Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, and proving the fact that the so-called Negroes, Latinos are the same people. All right, he's done that as well. All right, so basically he used Esau's this My Heritage and their colorized black and white picture thing that they use, their science, and their science recolors black and white photos to what they look like in the beginning. So you can see half is in color and the other half is black and white. All right, and it showed you, and you can clearly see what people are people of color and what people are Edomites, even in black and white. But the color does so even greatly. So what he did that with native images. So without any further ado, my brother Cootie Merrill.
Each other, blame each other for everything. All right, there you go. So I'm gonna ask you again, does the software work? Do you guys think it's pretty good? Can I get a 1 if you guys think it works pretty good? Can I get the pass? Is that did I all right? Or does anybody still doubt? Like, does anybody still doubt? And now, if anybody still doubts, I would like you, if anybody want to be on the panel today, just let me know.
A lot of ones popped up. I'm looking at the rest of the screen. So everybody was going along with him, was in agreement. I'm right about 31s.
Okay.
This brother gets a lot of hits, a lot of views.
So everybody's saying I'm painting Mongols black, or people black, or I'm painting Indians black.
Right, and that's them black only idiots who say that. And a bunch of racist Edomites who want that false history that they prescribe, which I was trying to explain to this hard-headed Issacharite this morning. All right? And they're accusing him of painting mongrels black. Right? Which is, and that whole thing that the natives are from Asia, it's a bold-faced lie that's been destroyed so many times over, man. Nothing can come across the Bering Strait on foot. And how could you have that many million of people come across and that be not one bone, one relic, one body, nothing? What did they eat? What did they hunt? How did they survive? That is just utter madness. A land bridge and no proof that it ever existed. That's all a bunch of theories and hypotheses, which means it's all guesses with no proof, no evidence. But this, what you're seeing, is proof and evidence.
They can try to look Negro and all that stuff. Well, man, I guess the software is. I guess My Heritage is doing that. Don't blame me. Blame My Heritage.
They sure got the white people right.
They did a pretty good job here. They got the white people in the front, right? And the so-called Negro in the back, right? Did it guess? No, I think it has some very sophisticated technology. All right, they ain't playing. They ain't playing with this. You can try it out on your pictures. All right. Now, so real quick. So I have so this is one picture. All right. We're gonna colorize. I'm gonna do it in front of you. Sorry, just bear with me. All right, because we live. All right, then I'm gonna colorize this one as well. All right, I want you guys to see the befores, right? Now, the only thing I did to these images is make them bigger. They were already like this. I haven't touched them up. I haven't messed with the contrast. I haven't done anything to these pictures like that. They pretty much came like this. They were just one of them especially was very small, the pixels. So all I did was make the resolution bigger so you can make it big. All right. So.
And these images are from the 1800s.
And I'm gonna colorize this one too.
Looks like my grandfather's people. Like one of my uncles. My great uncles. Who also happen to be of so-called native heritage.
Yeah.
Hell, I'm almost tempted to run in the room and grab a picture of my grandmother and bring it back, my father's mom. Just so you can see.
I'd find a corner in my house and kind of, do the dog rub.
Salakia. There we go.
All right. Sorry for that. It's not the same doing this live and pre-recorded. But here we go. So I'll start out with the first image of the Indians dancing. So I'm dragging it right here. Once again, thanks for tuning in. Glad you're here today. Yeah, and if you like this software, you like this website, even to try out your tree, and if you have already an Ancestry account, it's great. It helps you look for other info. If you're into genealogy, it's a great website.
Well, there it is.
All right. I'm going to download it.
Just as dark as Negroes.
Zoom into it real quick.
Straight hair.
All right. You see?
Curly
See?
hair.
Very dark skin.
Way darker than me. And no one would call me so-called white.
Okay, Steven, yeah, I don't deal with crayon colors. We don't, I don't say black, red, you gotta go in an individual case here. I don't deal with crayon colors.
Hey, somebody cut
white,
real bad
red,
right
black,
now. Somebody's looking
crayon colors.
really stupid.
All right. And yeah, it says Indians dancing at Fort Yates Fair by F.B. Fiske. Indians dancing. All right, who dances? Who be doing this? All right, culture. What's your culture?
You know they was getting down. Jake be getting it in, man.
Be like, I ain't none of those. They ain't those Indians ain't nothing about me. Like, like, what do you mean? I see a lot of this culture all the time. All right. So, the term Mongol is actually from the 1900s, what we think of a Mongol.
Some shit that Esau made up, some pseudoscience. Let's see if we can go right to the next image. There it is. In color. Didn't show the whole process, but
Hey. Great
right.
spirit.
Hey, when they were singing, hey, wah, yay, hey, they were calling the name of the Father.
Many tail feathers.
Hebrew.
He's a Pikuni. Black feet. The Pikuni are black feet. Pikuni. All right.
Right, and they'll only show you the pale ones, man. Like Benny the Jet Uquedes, if you know who that is. He was a kickboxing champion from the 70s, Blackfoot. All right? Who is Jake all day long, his boxing skills and his kickboxing skills, and he had way too much rhythm not to be. But they would never show you that he had people in his tribe that looked like this. Okay? Because he got all that paleness on him from all the rape and robbery from the Edomites. But that dude's still a Jake, man.
Chief many tail feathers.
Man, y'all cut, man. So you can go with that black bullshit. And this the one that looks like my father's people, his kinfolk. Hey, so with with that, man, let me read this. This is 2nd Ezra 13 and 40. And it reads, and those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoner out of their own land into the time of Hosea the king, who Salmanasseh the king of Assyria led away captive and carried them over the waters, and came they into another land. So basically they came down from the Euphrates River down into the Indian Ocean, down around the Horn of Africa, between Africa and Madagascar, around and came right up under Africa and headed into the islands and into the Americas, man. That was the route that they took. And it says, but they took counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. No one had ever lived in the Americas. All right. You had the Israelites that had been there. Solomon's had sent his Hamite servants over there. Africans had came. What's his name? Hyman, the stonemason dude. Right, the builder. Okay, that was even evidence that Moab had came to the Americas before, man. But no one had ever dwelt here. No one had ever lived here. Right? It says, but they took counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt, that they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow places of the river. For the Most High then showed them signs and held still the flood till they were passed over. So he held back all those rough waters. Some of the roughest waters in the ocean, man, is right along the path that they took, plus the storms. Okay? For the country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, in the same region is called Asareth. All right? And it always, and you know, in the book of Kings, the 17th chapter, I believe, I forget if it's 1st or 2nd Kings, but it talks about how Solomon's navy would go and they would be gone for 3 years. It would take them a year and a half to get to they were going and a year and a half to get back. They would come into Asareth, which is America. And they brought back foods and fruits and things and animals that were indigenous only to America. All right. It talked about peacocks. When you looked it up, that's talking about a turkey. All right. And a turkey is indigenous to America. Point blank period. No other place on the continent. They were indigenous to America. As a matter of fact, Benjamin Franklin wanted to make the turkey originally the symbol of America. All right. But you know, he had to roll with that eagle. So it's some of you fools out there that's just cut unapologetically. Call Halal Yahweh Shana Bashai by Shem Wakakwadash. Wa Abba Babal. Shalom Kwam Yasharallah.